Stanisław Krajewski. I'm a professor of philosophy at the University of Warsaw. I'm also the co-chair of the Council of Christians and Jews in Poland, the Jewish co-chair. Definitely. Religion is used in politics and very often used in a problematic way. And I think part of it is that religion is an important part of our society. It has always been. But another new part of it is I think that religion is losing its importance in the eyes of many. And religious institutions and religious activists try to make religion more important using political leverage. For example, trying to influence the state legislation in the way they think is right. I think it's completely general. It does occur in each and every religion. Of course, not to the same extent always, but for example, Buddhism is seen as very peaceful and politically uninvolved. But at the same time, in Southeastern Asia, like in Myanmar, there are, like extremist Buddhist monks who preach against Rohingya people. And so it's certainly a possibility, and we can witness it. In India, we have Hinduism, which is also rather spiritual than political, but at the same time, the ideology of Hindutva, which is the nationalistic, modern Hindu ideology ruling more or less now in India, is very much a mixture of politics and religion. So it's true everywhere. Of course, also Islam is seen as the most politically involved in an extremist way. The terrorists, they proclaim that Allah is great while murdering people. But this is not very different from what was happening or is happening in other religions. In Christianity, we had, for example, 100 years ago, Action Française, the right-wing sort of political use of religion in France. Now in Russia, the Russian Orthodox Church is completely backing the government's aggression of Ukraine. And Ukraine, of course, the church is pro-Ukraine and for its government. So all those things are absolutely present everywhere. Also in Israel, there is the Jewish right-wing extremist religious mixture, which is more and more visible. I think all religions, as I said, are similarly in danger of political misuse, misusing religious motivations, interests in politics. But it happens, not always to the same extent. Maybe it depends on the situation, when life is nice and quiet and there are no social tensions, strong social tensions, then perhaps religion is less inclined to do such things. But generally, it's a completely universal phenomenon. Yes, of course, I've encountered that in various places, including Poland, my country, where some, link between some political parties and some Catholic institutions is very strong and has been visible, and rather destructive, I would say. But also more specifically, for example, the person of John Paul II, the Pope, Polish Pope, was venerated in Poland, but it also has been sort of appropriated by the right-wing politicians to use him for their purposes, which is, I think, completely wrong, but this is certainly the case. And otherwise, I remember, all that big affair with crosses just at the Auschwitz, former Auschwitz camp, or where they were put aggressively in order to show that there is no single place in Poland which can be, remain without a cross, which was really a very political misuse of religious motivation. I think that the main cause is human nature, rather than religion or the nature of religion. Institutions try to be more important and more influential, any institution. So it's not just religion, there are all sorts of other institutions, also quasi-religions or quasi-religious institutions, like it used to be, like the Communist Party, or even the ecological movement can become very political and sometimes destructively political, even though the motivations are noble. So I think it's mostly human nature than anything else. So first of all, religions, are certainly in the Western world become less prominent. So I think it is teaching a lesson. But whether this lesson will be or not accepted by the leaders, religious leaders, is unclear. It's very important to have religiously involved individuals who want to interpret their religious involvement in a way that would be, politically constructive rather than destructive, and more spiritual, to teach the basic values and to introduce them to the political realm. I think that's possible, although it's not easy to do, and it's not easy to find such people who are religiously motivated and politically active at the same time. I definitely think that religion can play a positive role, mainly because the highest values like justice, human dignity, equality of human beings are, come to us from the religious traditions. Of course, many non-religious or anti-religious people also subscribe to those values, for sure, but the values really are based in the religious traditions more than in anything else. Certainly in the biblical tradition, but not only, the same with the Indian religions. So yes, it's very important. Now, to have that positive influence, it's not so easy. because there is this tendency of religious institutions to play for its institutional interests. Now, there is also another dimension, I would say a fundamental dimension of hope. The hope in the deepest sense can come only from the religious tradition, the hope that the world will be a better place. There is no scientific or sociological explanation for that. We can have the hope only because our religions are teaching that, especially the biblical prophets, like the prophet Isaiah, who says that the nation will not lift a sword against another nation, and things like that. And I think that politics without those deep sources, those deep resources, becomes shallow. Just who is stronger and who has better connections. So now many challenges now, and including the civilizational changes, like in terms of gender, etc. And there are religious resources to think deeply about those problems, although normally religious individuals and people are rather on the conservative side and they try to oppose the changes. And of course, not all the changes are good, but I think that a deeper approach can be only made having some deeper sources, which are basically religious sources of motivation. Not really, except that, this idea of abusing religion is okay, but I think that it's mostly using religion in a good or in a wrong way. So it's rather misuse than abuse, because it's very natural to do that, whether it's in a good, constructive sense or in a bad, destructive, egoistic sense. Both are part of our religious traditions, our religious involvement, and our religious tendencies.